Amud Beis on the bottom. It's 4 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Yossi Glili Havikosa B'Orcha. Rabbi Yossi Glili was going on the road. Ashkechila Bruria. He finds Bruria. Bruria is Reb Meir's wife. Amar La, he says to Bruria, Beis Derech Nelech Lelud. What's the correct way to get to Lud? It was like a crossroad. There are options. Should I go to this way? Should I go to that way? Amar La Galili Shaita. She was a tough lady. She says to Rabbi Yossi Glili, she says, Galilean fool. Like Kach Amr Chachamim, the sages didn't say, Al Tarbasicha Meisha. You shouldn't talk much with women. You could have made that sentence shorter. You could have said, not Be'ezah Derech Nelech Lud, you could have said which to Lud, and that would have been shorter. They say the Kotzker was with his friend, I think Rabbi Yitzchak Varka, and they said they went to a store and they asked for the change. So one of them said to the other, Altar b'sicha meisha is nishveret a kapka. This is not to talk with women is not worth a penny. So I guess the change was a penny. So for that you didn't have to ask for the change. Okay, Bruria ashkachte lau talmida davikod goris balachisha. Bruria's said Reb Meir's wife. She's the daughter of Rabbi Chanina ben Chadin, who was one of the Sararugi Malchas. So she sees the student that was learning quietly. He was just whispering. Batshabe, she kicked him. Amalei lekach kasov, doesn't it say arucha b'kol u'shmura, that if it's ordered in everything, and then it will be secure. Marucha baramachi varim shalach mishtameres. If it spreads out throughout all of your 248 limbs, then it will be guarded. V'mlaveinu mishtameres. And if you learn quietly, it won't be guarded. It means you're going to forget your learning. Tana Talmud echad hayolei Rabbi Lazar ben Yaakov, Rabbi Lazar, sheyeshena balachash. There was one student of Rabbi Lazar that would learn quietly. And then after 3 years, he forgot his learning. Tana was taught in a brisa. Talmud echad hayolei Rabbi Lazar shenes chayev sreifa l'makom. It was chayev to be burnt. There was a student that was supposed to be burnt. Marsha says he was supposed to be, he was deserving of the death penalty because he didn't review his learning. Or he didn't, because we're talking here about forgetting your learning. So.
But isn't it easy to forget your learning after 3 years?
Yeah.
It's 3 years. It's
right.
Not, maybe right. You just didn't.
I guess he was supposed to do a review.
Oh, so then they couldn't have blamed it on not doing Chazara. Okay, fine.
Here. You're saying, why do you, it's because he didn't do Chazara, not because he didn't learn it out loud. Yeah, I don't know. So I remember I was in camp, and I went once to overnight camp. And over there in the learning class, they told me that if you leave your sefer open, you forget your learning. I was so surprised. I said, really? I must have left my sefer open before. So the learning counselor said, what did you learn that day? I said, I don't know. He said, see? Okay. So Amru, Hinichalai Adam Gadol Shimish. Amr, they said that he's not going to get the death penalty. Why? Because he served a great person. Now, the Marsha explains that Gadol Shimush Yosim Limud. When it comes to the learning, a person forgets his learning, but the Shimush, what he does for the teacher, And that type of learning, the behavior and all of that, that stays with him. So even though it could be forgot some of the textual lessons, but the other lessons that he gets from the Shimush, that stays with him. That's the Marshal's Pshat in Shishimish Adam Gadol. Rav Shmuel or Rav Yehuda, Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda Shinina, sharp one, we learned this before. Rav Yehuda was a student of Shmuel, and Rav Yehuda either was very sharp or he had buck teeth, and that's why he is called this Shinina. So Shmuel says to him, Psach pumech kari, open your mouth and read the psukim. Psach pumech tani, open your mouth and recite the Mishnayos. Right? Shana, tough and a shin, Dr. Stein. Tani is shani. So that it should stay with you and that your life should be long. Teirach, it means, is arichas yama. Shinemar ki chaim heim l'maitzayim l'chol b'sarei marpe, because they are life to those that find them, and to all its flesh is healing. Al tikri l'maitzayim el l'maitzayim b'peh. Don't say to those that find them, read it to those that express it with their mouth. They will learn out loud. I read a biography of Tzadok HaKayan of Lublin. In his early years, he used to learn, he would shout, he would stay up the whole night and shout out of his window the Gemaras that he was learning. I think the neighbors complained, he didn't really care. He would just learn. Anyway. Amalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Shinina. It's a very interesting Gemara. I don't have an explanation for this, although I remember something from the Rebbe's Rishimis, the notes. There's a sharp one. Chatayf achol, chatayf ishti. Grab and eat, grab and drink. Because the world that you're going from is like a wedding. It means you get it's life is short, so eat and drink. That's very strange Gemara. Obviously, it means Torah or something. Okay, Amalei Rav or Rav Hamnuna. Rav says to Rav Hamnuna, B'ni, im yesh lach, heitiv lach. And if you have money, so then it's good for you. Shem b'shel tainug. I got heitiv lach probably means you should use it. Shem b'shel tainug, because you're not going to use the money in Sheol, in the next world. There's no pleasure there. Ve'ein l'maves hismameya. There's no delay to death. So maybe you want to say you're going to save the money so your children will have some sustenance. Who's going to tell you what's going on with them in the next world? People are like the grass of the field. These ones grow and these ones wither. It means that they're always going to be provided for. You don't have to worry about them. I think the Maggid told Alter Rebbe, at least in those, the Maggid wrote a tzava for his son, and he said, don't save your money. This is not advice. This is not business advice to anyone. But he said, don't save your money. Just spend it. It could be he had an issue. It could be he was very frugal. And he told him that he doesn't have to be so frugal. He could enjoy. Here it's saying that that when the children are born, there's going to be enough in the soil to provide the nutrients for the natural grasses that grow. They'll do fine. You don't have to worry about them. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Hamahalach Baderach, someone that's on the road, Veini Milavaya. He doesn't have anyone accompanying him. So Yasik B'Torah. You should toil in Torah. Shenemar ki levias cheinheim. They're a graceful wreath, like a crown. The crown. The chosh bereisha Yasik B'Torah. If someone has a headache, he should toil in Torah. Shenemar ki levias cheinheim l'rishecha. Because they're a graceful wreath for your head. the Marsha explains there's a problem with to use Torah as a charm. So he's over here. He has a headache and he's using it to heal himself. It doesn't seem appropriate. What he's saying is that before a person experienced the pain, he should toil in Torah. Just because once the pain comes, it could be he won't be able to. So this is a preventative medicine. If he starts to feel ischash, starts to feel that maybe he'll get a headache, he should start toiling in Torah. Chash begreni yasik b'Torah. If he has his throat hurts him, it's going to be hard for him to learn. So right away you start learning Torah. It's a chain for your neck. Chash b'meyav yasik b'Torah. Stomach pains.
If you're not supposed to use it as an omen, so all these don't work. So really what you're saying is you're supposed to do it all before the...
Before. Yeah. Yeah, the Marsha actually...
Then so it's like learn all the time so you won't get sick, you won't have chash b'roishay because...
Right. But the Marsha adds in that really someone that comes to visit you will take away part of the illness. So why do you have to do these things? Someone will come to visit you. So he goes through these items here that say that each one of these, that these are special cases where a person doesn't get visitors, either because it's hard for him to speak or his stomach pains. You're not supposed to visit someone that has stomach pains. So how does he get healed if without visitors? Visitors heal a person. So for that we say he's in quarantine. So we say yasik b'Torah. So, but then we have the other issue of using it as a charm. So he says no, it's beforehand. Okay, I think there's other ways of answering it also. But okay, so it will be healing to your navel. There's bones ache. Will be marrow to your bones. The entire body. It's a healing to the whole body. Amar Rav Yehuda bar Chia. Rav Yehuda bar Chia. The way of Hashem is not like the way of the flesh and blood of a human. When it comes to a regular human, a doctor, so he gives a medicine to one, so it's not good for someone else. It has to be exactly for the illness. By the Eibishter, it's not so. He gives a potion that heals everything. The doctors would say Tylenol. This is what they say after. I'm sorry?
Moshe said, take 2 tablets and see me in the morning. That was up.
There's something, when in doubt, take cortisone.
It's safe for all the Yomim Tovim. Each one is a healing for a different Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, and Simchas Torah, and each one it does a different thing. So what happens after the Yomim Tovim? So they gave this example of this guy, his doctor's going on vacation, so he's nervous. He says, what am I supposed to do while you're gone? He says, I have one thing that covers everything. If you ever have any pain, you just take this. So that's the Torah. It says we have all of these different things, but then after the Yom Tov, what do? Well, you have one, the cortisone. Okay. Amar Rabami Maidiksiv Kinan Kisishmin Vitnacha. Rabami says it's pleasant if you guard them in your innards. You kind of yachtav al svasecha, you attach them together with your lips. Amos I divrei Torah. Now, when are the words of Torah pleasant? Bisman shetishmin bitnacha, when you guard them. Amos I tishmin when is it considered that you guard them? When they're on your lips. Okay. That means when you say the Torah out loud. It's a rejoicing to a person with the response of his mouth and something in its time, how good it is, how good it's very good. When is it rejoicing to a man? When he has a response in his mouth, it means when he learns the Torah out loud. Another pshat. You have to put the question mark a few words after. When is the rejoicing to a man with the response of his mouth? When he says it in the right time. That means, Rashi says, when he learns the halachas of the Yamim Tovim on the Yamim Tovim. Each Yom Tov, its own, another pshat is when he's able to answer to the question that he's asked. Sometimes the person is learning something, but all the questions he gets is in some other topic, and he never knows the answer. Okay. Because the matter is close to you, in your mouth, in your heart, to fulfill it. When is it close to you? When it's in your mouth and in your heart to fulfill it. So again, we're saying that the person should be saying it out loud. You should be learning Torah out loud. When you're learning in a shir with chavrusa, so one person says it, and that's the other person doesn't have to recite it. The other person is saying it. They asked the question, what if you learn from a tape or from a recording? So then the saying it is not a live saying it, but it could be that it means that you learn through hearing. When you say it, there's two parts to that. There's this expressing it, and that you hear it also. I'm not sure. Okay. From our Gemara, it sounds like that's the expression. You have to say it out. The Baal Shem Tov would translate everything when he learned into Yiddish. He wanted to, that was part of the refinement process, was to translate everything. The desires of his heart you give to him, and the requests of his lips you don't withhold. We'll see what Sela means. When is the desires of his heart given to him? When he requests it with his lips. It means when he expresses it. Rava has a contradiction. He asked a contradiction. It says the desires of his heart he gives to him. It also says the expression of his lips you don't withhold. So what is it? Does he have to actually daven, or can he just have it in his heart? Which one is it? Taivas libay, the desires of his heart, versus areshes svasav, the expression of his lips. So it's explained. Zacha, if he merits in taivas libay nasatla, he doesn't need to say it. Loi zacha, areshes svasav bal manata sela. They teach Ezer Kenegdai. The difference between Ezer and Yeshua. Salvation means that you asked for it. Help means that you didn't ask for it. Ezer is so the wife helps the husband even when he doesn't ask. That's the Ezer. He understands that. If it would be different, if it would be, what do you mean? Whenever he asks me, I always do it. So then that wouldn't be satisfactory. It's yeah.
We keep on saying you have to learn out loud when you're learning. I mean, that's what all this. Why don't we bring also that you should look in what you're learning and use the pasuk? I forget it. What is in Hebrew? What the eye desires, the heart. What the eye admires, the heart desires. In Tehillim or wherever it is, and say, you should dafka look in. All right. feel it in Bilvavecha, Vatayam Shvota Lavavecha. I mean,
Right.
really put it
That's
together.
a good point. That's a good point. I think the answer is, that question brings out the depth of this. I think the answer is that we're discussing also a time when they didn't have written down everything and they needed to memorize it. So they would make sure that they recited it, so it would be in their memory. And if the memory wasn't good, then the tradition would get lost. So there's like a big emphasis on the making sure it's memorized properly. And that was the library. All the brises that were memorized, the students were the walking libraries. So, okay. Tana debei Rebbe Lozer ben Yaakov, Kol makom shneimar netzach selavad, ein lehefsek elamis. These words in Tillim, in other places maybe, they mean forever. They mean it never ends. Whenever it says the word netzach, sela, or vad. Netzach teksiv k'leila olam ariv, leila netzach ektzov. It says, I won't forever fight, I guess, and I won't forever be angry. That's we see the word netzach. Sela, teksiv kasher shamanu kenrin be'er Hashem tzavakis be'er lekenu alekim yechinanenu ad olam sela. It says ad olam sela, forever sela. As we heard, so we saw in the city of Hashem, of hosts, in the city of our God, established forever, sela. Again, sela means forever. I think one of the pshatim, when we read it in Tillim, is that it's a music note, like a high note. Like sela was something like something the conductor would do. But from Chazal, sela means that it lasts forever. Va'ed, t'ksiv Hashem yimlech le'olam va'ed. Hashem is king forever. Va'ed means forever. It never stops. Simen is anakim lechiv luchos charas. Kiyomer Rebbe Lozer, ma'id t'ksiv anakim legargrei secha. We quoted a verse before. Ki levias cheinheim l'reishecha v'anakim legargrei secha. It's a wreath, graceful wreath on your head, and it's a chain on your neck. If a person makes himself like this chain, like a necklace that goes around the neck, but it's loose. Sometimes it's seen, sometimes it's not. I guess because it goes under his shirt. That's not seen. It's like the guy with the tie. Said someone had a big beard. They said, why do you wear a tie? No one can see it anyway. He says, how do you know I have a tie? So if a person makes himself like this chain, that sometimes it's seen, sometimes it's not, I think the pshat over here, the way Rashi puts it, is he doesn't hang around with people. He stays in his room. He's sometimes seen, sometimes he's not. He doesn't have to always socialize. He goes into his room and he sits and he learns. That's how a person his Talmud is miskayim biyadei. V'imlav ain't Talmud miskayim biyadei. Or else, if you're always visible, then you won't have time to learn. I think that's the simple pshat here. Amar Rabbi Elazar ma'id ksiv lechya of karugas abaysim. What's the meaning of the pasuk? His cheek is like a spice bed, or a row of spices. If a person makes himself like this bed of spices that everyone steps on it, I guess it just means herbs. But people walk on the ground. So that means he's very humble. That means that he teaches as well. Talmudim miskayim. Then his learning will stay with him. If not, learning won't stay with him. What does it mean, tablets of stone? Your mother makes my lecha, translating the word luches as his cheeks. Ke'even zushen and nimches. If a person makes his cheeks like a stone that never is dry, his cheeks like a stone that doesn't wear away, it doesn't rub out. Talmudim Miskayim Biyad, that means he has to always be repeating the words. Just like the stone doesn't get rubbed out, he's always reviewing and teaching. That's what we're learning. Then Talmudim Miskayim. Bimla Avin Talmudim Miskayim. He doesn't use every opportunity to learn and to teach, then it won't be Miskayim. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Maidiksiv Charas ala luches. Charas means engraved. There's another word it could have used. It could have said Chakak ala luches, which also means engraved. When I was asking, why does he use the word Charas ala luches, engraved onto the tablets? If the first luches weren't broken, then the Torah never would have been forgotten. It would have been engraved in them. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Amar Enkol Uma v'Uma Enkol Uma v'Lashon Sheletzes Memshnim Charas al Luchas al Tikri Charas al Cheres. No nation would be able to rule over them. The word Charas means free. Cheres means free. It's another Gemara. Ein be'encha ben chern al mishaysik b'teresh nemar charas al luches. A person becomes free, whatever freedom means. It's like a philosophy discussion. But the Torah makes a person free. Amar Rav Masna, or Rav Matana. This is interesting. Naftali. Rav Matana here is going to be darshaning a pasuk about the word matana. I can't hear.
Say again, please.
This Rav Masna, Rav Matana, is going to be learning a pasuk that has the word matana, in it. Remember that we had this discussion with that sefer. That the name of the person sometimes is is the teaching that he says. Maidiksiv, what's the meaning of the pasuk Midbar Matana? And from Midbar they came to Matana. Those are places. But he darshans it, he says, if a person is humble, he makes himself like a desert. So then, that everyone tramples on him, then it's given to him as a gift, the Torah. It means the Torah will stay with him. If not, then he won't be able to hold on to it. Yeah.
I'm surprised with all the shin and tufs. Why don't we say midbar is medaber, matan is mishnah, kol shem medaber, mishana. He's repeating it, and I expected that from you.
Yes.
And nobody read my engraving up there. The 10 Commandments are not multiple choice.
We read it. We read it. It's not funny. We read it.
I thought it was funny. Bye.
They're missing the none of the above. Okay, Rava Breder of Yosef Bar Chama, Havli Milseler of Yosef, and they Rava. This is the regular Rava that we have, the friend of Abaya. Rava, the son of Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama. So he had, apparently Rabbi Yosef was angry with him. Had some issue with, Rabbi Yosef had some issue. So, Kamatamali Yom Kippuri, Erev Yom Kippur, Amar, Rabbi says, Ezel Vafaisi. Let me go and appease Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef is the teacher of Abaya. Rav is a friend of Abaya. We don't really find Rav and Rabbi Yosef very, very much. And this may be why. There was some issue. I don't know what the issue is, but there was something going on. He goes over there. He sees that the servant, the Kamazig Lake Kasa, is mixing the wine for Rav Yosef before the fast. drink wine. Mixed, I guess that's what they drank. Amarle, Havli Vimzige. Let me do it. Let me do the mixing. The Imzge, I know you have like Mazge. And I will give him the drink. Kidatame, when Rav Yosef drank it, Amar, Dami Haim Mezigel, Mezigel the Rav Breder Rav Yosef Barchame, he drinks it. Rav Yosef was blind. So Rava brings it to him. He says, oh, this tastes like the drink of Rava, the way it was mixed. Rava had an opinion on how wine was supposed to be mixed. I guess the ratio. So Amalei, I know, it's me. I'm Rava, here I am. So Amalei, like taste of Akarach, don't sit down, Adam Mefarshli Hani Kray, until you explain to me these psukim. My diksiv, what's the meaning of the pasuk? Mid matana matan nachnil mathnil bamis mibamis agai. What's the meaning of that pasuk? I mean, the different places that they traveled. Amalei, he says, Mother Mason Masan Kamid Barzesha called Dashim by Rav is responding to Rav Yosef. The person makes himself like a midbar that everyone tramples on him. Torah nitenes lay. Then the Torah is given to him b'matana as a gift. Kimshnitli matana nachlu kel. He inherits God. Shnem midbar mimatana nachliel. From the matana, from having the Torah, he inherits God. Kimshnitli nachlu kel al-gdula. He inherits God, then he becomes great. Shnem manachliel bamis. Bamis means he gets raised up. Megasly, but if he gets arrogant, then God lowers him down. From the heights, goes to the valley. But if he does tshuva, Hashem will raise him again. Every valley becomes exalted, becomes raised up. That's a quote from another pasuk. There must be something more going on here. And Rava throws in more than what Rav Yosef was asking for. Maybe Rav Yosef felt, I don't know the background to it. I don't know. Basically, whatever he's saying is that there is the addition that Rava adds is that it sounds like Rava's whole point.
The art scroll refers to Nedarim, 55.
And does it say what happened there?
Yeah, something about it. He asked a question. He inherited a huge amount of money. And he asked a question to Rabbi Yosef. And I don't think he liked the answer very much.
Uh-huh.
There was going to be a loss of money or something.
Oh.
Somebody else gave him an answer. And he said, yeah, that's what I really meant. The question that I meant. So Rabbi Yosef was ikbid. He's like, if he doesn't need my answer, why did he ask the question? Something with a money loss.
I'm wondering if it had to do with he felt that he was haughty, and that's why he's responding that I when I'm doing tshuva, I should be accepted back. Because I'm saying from this, the way he adds more than what he's asked for. So Rabbi Yosef asked him to translate this pasuk, and then there must have been a message he was giving him. But Rabbi says the pasuk, and then he throws in the last point, Kol Gei Yinaseh, that the valley can also be raised up afterwards. Okay, Amar Rav Huna, Shikaya. Amar Rav Huna, Maidiksiv Chayas Chayashav Tachin B'Tivas Chalani Elikim. Your flock, your animals will dwell there. Hashem prepares in His goodness for the poor. How do we explain this? Rashi. If a person makes himself like an animal, that he just rips apart the food. So then, Talmud Miskayim, we're going to see in a moment. Then his Torah is going to be that he spoils it, puts it into dirt, and So then his Talmudim Miskayim Biyadi. That's Rashi's first pshat. Which is, the first pshat is he doesn't spice his food. He doesn't care to eat it when it's dirty. It's not his interest. He's only interested in Torah. So okay. Rashi's second pshat is he says 1 second. We find that Talmidei Chachamim were very careful about their food. This doesn't sound correct. He says what it really means is he's talking about his learning. That immediately when it's taught, he right away does chazara. And he makes himself dirty over Torah. Doesn't explain what that means. But it's instead of referring to food, there's two pshatim here. It doesn't mean that it's referring to his food, that he doesn't care about his food because he only cares about Torah. It doesn't mean that he doesn't care about anything because he's just rushing to be able to review his learning. And if he does this, Hashem makes him as a meal. Hashem in his goodness prepares for the poor. Why is he called the poor? He makes himself like he's poor, or he makes himself like a poor person to go after the Torah, to always that he needs the Torah. It's one of my favorite pieces. I'm allowed to say that. Chia Barabba says the name of Rabbi Yechanan. Chia Barabba was a great student of Rabbi Yechanan. Every 30 days he reviewed everything that Rabbi Yechanan said, and Rabbi Yechanan would correct him. My diksiv, what's the meaning of the pasuk? Noitzitena yechel pirya. Someone that guards the figs will eat its fruit. Lama nimshel Torah katena. Why is Torah compared to a fig? Mateinazu, just like the fig calls mansha the mashba mitzvah tainim, by a fig tree. They grow a little bit hidden under the leaves, and they don't ripen in a way that there's a real harvest. You get one at a time. Every time you go out, you see, there's another fig that's getting ripe. After V'Torah calls mansha the mhagba mitzvah tam. Also Torah, every time a person thinks about it, he finds another piece. And a person can't say, the way Rashi puts it, that I'm going to learn everything today. You learn every day. You learn more and more, and that's it becomes every day you get something new. Amar Reb Shmuel bar Nechemini ma'id ksiva yelasav v'yelas chen. A yeles is a female deer, a hind, and v'yelas chen. A yelas ahavim, the love of the deer. Yalas chen. Yalas is another type of deer. Of grace. Lamanim shall dir b'Torah la yalas. Why is the Torah compared to this deer? Laimalach, it's going to tell you. Ma yala rachamat tzar v'chaviv al bayla kol shavashak sharishaina. After b'Torah chavivan al emdeh kol shavashak sharishaina. The ayala, her reproductive area is very tight. So every time the male deer is together, so it feels like it's the first time. So also with Torah, the people that study Torah, every time they study Torah, it's like the first. Is this a Gemara that says that the Jewish people are like fish? Just like the fish, when it rains, they cut the fish go up to get the drops of water. I don't know if it's a Gemara or why do they have to go up to get the drops of water? They have so much water. So to get those rain drops, they're in the water. It says no, they like to hear the chiddush. They like to go up to get a new a new piece. Okay, so when someone studies Torah, every time they study it, it's as precious to them as if it's the first time that they're hearing it. It makes the one that studies it graceful. The Torah gives him chen. Dader yirvuch b'chol eis. Your breasts will satisfy you at all times. Lamanim shel Torah kedad. Why is the Torah compared to a breast? Madad ze kol zman shetinuk mashve mitzvah b'cholav, just like the breast whenever the child wants to nurse. So the more milk comes. After Viter kol zman shadam hageben mitzvah tam. Also when it comes to Torah, every time you think about it, you get a new shot. A new something new comes out of it. Every time you go over it, you find something interesting. Vasa tishke tamid. In your love, tishke is like makes crazy. In its love, he's always desiring. Kigayin Reb Elazar ben Pedas. Just this is like Reb Elazar ben Pedas. Love the Torah. Amar level Reb Elazar. They say about Reb Elazar. He was involved in Torah in the lower level of the marketplace. But he left his cloak somewhere else. He was so involved in the Torah that he forgot his jacket somewhere. Tanya, or maybe that's not here. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar. Pam achas ba'adam litla yamatz b'Sara. One time a person wanted to take the jacket, and there was a serpent that was there that was guarding it. Tana de Beir of Anan, they ride on white donkeys, they sit on nice cloths. Those that go on the road tell of it. Riding on donkeys. These are the Talmidei Chacham that go from city to city to study Torah.
There's a poisonous snake somewhere in there. Did you get that?
Yeah. There was a snake or a serpent that was protecting the garment of Rabbi Elazar ben Pedas. Yeah. What does that tell us? I'm not sure. I don't know.
That's the question.
It sounds like he would forget it a lot, right? That happened more times.
I know a lot of people, they're always looking for the hat. Anyway. Oh, it's my cell phone. Can someone call my cell phone? So, this is interesting Gemara. The Gemara of Baba Basra says, "Shemakatetin v'heim tukul raglecha." This week's parsha. Elo Talmidei Chacham shemakatetin ragleim sholchim me'yer le'yer lumei Torah. Now it's the riding on donkeys. The other one is that their feet are getting rubbed out because they're going from city to city to study Torah. That's the yeshiva bachim that go out of town to learn. Tzcheiros, what is it? White. They make it very clear. They say they teach it like it's in the afternoon, like it's like clear. Now, what that means is that because they went to different teachers to study, they have more logic. We learned before that you're supposed to stay by one teacher, but that's only to hear. Remember, we learned that's only for memorization. But for the logic, for the Swara, it's better to go to different teachers. You get explained different ways. Yoshvei al Medin, they sit on this cloth. Shadana dinemis lamita, that means they're patient. They judge true judgment. What's dinemis lamita? That's the Tosfos in Baba Basra. It's over there. It says dinemis lamita. Besides that, it's the halacha, but it's also actually the fact. V'holchi, and they go Eila Bali Mikra. These are the people that learn Chumash. Al derech, on the road, Eila Bali Mishnah. These are people who learn Mishnayos. Seichai, they should tell it over. Eila Bali Talmud, Shekol Sichaf and Divrei Torah. These are the people that study Talmud. Everything they learn is everything that they talk about is Torah. Amar Rav Shizvi Mishim Rav Elazar ben Azai Ma'adik Siv Liyachrik Miyat Tzedek. What does it mean? The lazy, or the Rami actually means the trick, the one that does tricks. The dishonest person won't roast his catch. He won't live and he won't long days. What the Tzayed Ramai is, he catches things, but he doesn't actually hold them. So this is someone that learns, but he doesn't hold on to it. He makes it look like he's learning a lot. This book, that book, another book, but he doesn't He doesn't really have it. So the Tzayid Rama, he's tricking. He's making it look like he's catching it up, but he's not putting in the effort to maintain it. So Rav Sheshes Amar Tzayid Rama Yachrich. Sheshes says it differently. He says, no, this is the way to how to put this. I'm not sure if it's actually a question. Tzayid Rama Yachrich. The way Rashi puts it is that someone that does that is just a fool. Who is the real? He's retranslating the word Rama. Rama, we were looking at someone that's foolish. He's saying no, Rama doesn't mean foolish. A tricker that's not maintaining his learning. This is a person that he's actually figuring out a way to maintain his learning. What's he doing? Every time, as we're going to see from Rav Dimi. This is an example of a hunter. He's hunting birds. Each bird that he catches, he breaks the wing. Then he's able to hold it. Otherwise, it's just going to fly away. So this is the Tzayid Rama. He's the one that's going to be able to roast. He'll be able to maintain his learning, able to maintain his catch. Yeah, so Rashi's putting it that someone that's so smart, sharp, that he knows how to hold on to his learning, won't be able to roast it. He'll for sure be able to roast it. Okay. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Schreira, Amar Rav Huna. The person that has wealth from vanity will get diminished. Little by little, yarba, that will increase. If a person turns his Torah into heaps, then it will get diminished. But if not, yarba. If he does kibitz al yad is every day learns a little bit, and little by little, yad al yad, he collects pieces of Torah. Okay. Amar Rava Yadi Rabban La Milsa V'Avrila. The rabbis know about this, but they violate it. They learn too much and without review. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Hanavi Tivei Kaim B'Yadi. No, Rav Yitzchak says, I was careful about this. That means he always reviewed, and the Torah stayed with him. Taner Rabbanan Ketz say the Mishnah. The rabbis taught what was the way of that the Torah was taught. Moshe Laman Piyagvura. Okay, Moshe learned from Hashem. So that was the first time Moshe learned. Nichnas Aaron Vishanaloi Moshe Pirkei. Aaron came in and Moshe taught him. This is what Hashem told me. Nistalak Aaron v'yashav l'smal Moshe. Aaron goes to the side. He goes out, it says. But he goes to Moshe's left. Nichnasu banav v'shanaloi Moshe Pirkei. The sons come in, the sons of Aaron, and Moshe teaches to them. So he heard it, he taught it once, he taught it a second time. Nistalka banav alazi yashav liyamin Moshe v'itamar l'smal Aaron. One goes to the right, one goes to the left. Now Aaron was already on the left, he goes to the left of Aaron. Rabbi Yehuda Aaron liyamin. Rabbi Yehuda says no, Aaron was on the right side of Moshe. He was older. Liyamin Moshe. Chayzer Aaron liyamin Moshe. Chayzer. I guess that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Now the elders come in. And Moshe teaches to them. The elders go out, but it means they go to the side, I guess. Everyone comes in and Moshe teaches to them. Nimtzu, what comes out, biyad Aaron arba. Aaron learned it 4 times from Moshe. The first time was privately. Then he hears it when it's being said to his sons. Then he hears when it's being said to this kingdom. Then he hears it when it's being taught to everyone. Yadban of Shleisha, the sons only heard it 3 times. Yadas Kenim Shnayim, the elders heard it twice. Yad Kolam Echad, and the people heard it once. Okay, now Nestalik Moshe v'Shan Lamarin Pirkin. Moshe goes to the side and Aaron tells it over. Nestalik Aaron, Shanalem Banav Pirkin. Then Aaron goes out and the sons say it over. Nestalik Banav Shanalem Zakenim Pirkin. Nimsi Biyadakol Arba. It means everyone has heard it 4 times. From here, Rabbi Elazar says, person has to teach the Torah 4 times. Kal v'chemer, it's a kal v'chemer. Ma, Aaron Slaman Pi Moshe, Moshe Pi Agura, it's kal v'chemer. If Moshe heard the Torah from the Eibster, or Aaron that heard the Torah from Moshe, Moshe heard it from the Eibster, Kachebi, Hediyat Alach is coming to come. If we hear it from a regular person, for sure we should have to review it 4 times. Rabbi Kiva says, how do you know that a person has to teach his students until they understand it? They have to Israel. You have to teach it to the Bnei Israel. How do you know it should be arranged in their mouth? That they should be able to repeat it back. And place it in their mouth. How do you know they have to give all the explanations? It should be understood. These are the laws that you put before them, that it should be like ready. It doesn't say talamdim. You have to put it in front of them with the logic. Why doesn't everyone just learn from Moshe 4 times? So that no Aaron should have a special time, that to give the respect to Aaron. V'neil Aaron v'nigmar mi Moshe v'leil banav ligmar Aaron v'leil zakenim v'lilshul mi banav v'leizalu v'ligmar l'kuli Yisrael. Why doesn't Aaron teach it, and then to the sons, and the sons will teach it to the zakenim will teach it to everyone else? Just do it like that. Everyone should hear it at least once from Moshe that heard it from Pi Agvura. Amar Mar, Master taught Rabbi Moshe that Aaron always goes to Moshe's right. Come on, the Tanya, 1 second, there's a problem. There's a brayso shleisha sheyim alchem derech harav be'emtza gadol b'yamina v'katan b'smailai leim Rabbi Yudi v'lei Rabbanan. If there's the teacher, he's walking, so he's in the center. The next one goes to his right, and the other one goes to his left. So Moshe is in the center, Aaron is to his right, and then the sons are to his left. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, not the. According to the Rabbanan, Aaron was to the left of Moshe. Could be that it's the Rabbanan as well. But over there, they didn't want Aaron to have to move. When the sons came, you see, originally Aaron would go to the left, and when there's 3 people, Aaron should go to the right. And the sons they wanted to move, so they left Aaron should sit at the left. But if there would be 3 people walking, then automatically the rabbi is in the center, the greater student is on the right, and the lower student is on the left. Rav Preda, he had a student. He would teach him 400 times, and then he would learn. The mitzvah. Rav Preda says, I have to leave early because there's something that they need me for. So Tana Levi Legamar, so he taught him the 400 times. The student didn't learn until he got it 400. It took him 400 times to explain it to him. Amalei, he taught it to him, but he didn't get it. Amalei, why didn't you get it today? Amalei, mida he shaited Amalei lamar ika milsa the mitzvah aschele daite b'chol shaita amina hashtakoi mar. I wasn't able to concentrate because he mentioned that you're going to leave early. Every time you were talking, I kept thinking maybe he's going to have to leave now. So I was distracted the whole session. Amalei, have daitach, vasni love. Pay attention, I'll teach it to you again. Hadatani dalame zimni achrini, he taught it to him 400 times again. Nafka baskal, heavenly voice comes out. Amalei, nichalach dwisle dalame shni, beitadisku at vedoirach la'almadasi. Would you like to live for 400 years, or do you want you and your generation to merit the world to come? Amar dinisko navadar la'almadasi, he says, I'd like from myself and my generation to merit the world to come. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu t'nulei zubazu. Give them both. They joked about how come they didn't offer the student. The student is quite amazing as well. He sat there to listen to 400 times. They joked. They said that the Baskal didn't have the patience to explain it. There were options. Okay, I guess we'll have to leave it here.